I mod upon you while you also stand and face Jerusalem. Blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatah Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Asherah. Nathalanawa. Hashabath. Bashalawam. Thawada. Aman. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it. Kaha'ayim Ma'ad Asherayim Akkad, Psalms 121. Anya Harayim Ayanyam Ya O Haharayim Ayan Yabawa Isaiah Yabawa Mayahawa Shaisha Shemayim Wa'arataza La'a Yanathan Lamawat Regalia Yala'a Yanawam Shashamarka Hana La'a Yanawam Wala'a Yayasham Shashuamar Yasharella Yahweh Shamaria Yahweh Tazalia I'll Yad Yamyan Ya Yawamam Hashemash La'a Hakaya Wayarat La'a Balayala Yahweh Yashamaria Makom Ra Yashamar Napasha Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakia Wabawa'aya Ma'aitha Wa'aid Iwalam Bahasham Yahweh Sham Thawada Aman.
Psalm 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Shema Yasharella, Hail Israel. Shema Yasharella, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh Akkad. Shema Yasharella, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh Akkad. Shema Yasharella, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh Akkad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord. Amen.
Amen. Sapala Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer. Abi Yanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwithka, Saba'a, Ratazawanka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Ka, Bashamayim, Natalanawa, Lakam, Yawam, Za, Wasalakanawa, Kabagwathanawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabagwathanawa, Wala'a, Habiyanawa, O Nasayawan, Mabo, Hawashinawa, Mara, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wathapara, La'iwalam, Aman.
6:9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, and forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Ha Asherah Mataz Waf, 10 Commandments. La'a, Yahaya, Laka, Alahayim, Akarim, Alpanya, La'a, Aisha, Laka, Paso, Wala'a, Thaibadum, La'a, Lakwakas, Shamwa, Yahweh, Alahayaka, Lashua, Zakar, Ath, Hayawum, Hashabath, Laquadashwa, Kabad, Abiyaka, Wa Amaka, La'a, Taratazak, La'a, Sana'ap, La'a, Daganab, La'a, Ta'ina, Shakur, La'a, Takamad, Ko, Ashira, Lara'ayaka, Aman.
Exodus 20:2. I am the Lord thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord bless the Sabbath day and hallow it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Amen.
Aman, Yeshua, be seated.
You gotta keep this down.
It's the second time I did that. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathanawa, Par Yahagapin, Thawada Amun, Ba Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ath Yasha Ella. I might well put you on Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Barakatha Yahweh, Haggadah, Rakuam, Abiyah, Wanara'ah, Aliyawan, Malak, Shal, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, Wakol, Debarium, Kayayam, Wagum, Hamashiach, Mayahawa, Adawanawa, Ahabanawa, Hapalah, Yawa'aitazah, Yahweh Shai, Zakaranawa, Yahweh, Baratazawan, Aimka, Yasha'ala, Izanawa, Bana, Wa'asap, Yasha'ala, O, Nanawa, Yum Yun, Aitha, Kayawamyum, Makwadam, Babakusha, Shalak, Mayaka'ala, Wahatazawadak, Alahayim, La, Magunawa, Rapanawa, Washamar, Alnawa, Ba'akor, Shalak, Harokan, Shal, Yahawashai, Lanawa, Lalamanawa, Rabiam, Kakama, Sabawana, Wada'ith, Shal, Debarka, Bahasham, Yahawashai, Sawada, Samyad, Waiwalam, Amun. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. And also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel. Most high, we beg you right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always and forever. So be it. And the previous prayer prior to this one was, blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, or the Most High, in the name of Christ, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To the Most High, in the name of Christ, with Israel. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the law. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Hathawara. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us light to see. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, War, Lara'awah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the ram song to call the people. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Koran, Ha'ayo, La Korah, A'ain. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us olive oil to anoint Israel. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Hashaman, Zayath, Lamashach, Yasha'Allah. Yeshua, you see. All right. Shalom, Yashala. Shalom. To the brothers and sisters listening on the teleconference line, those watching the live stream, peace and blessings to all that here to come and before the Most High on the Sabbath day, the day of rest, to worship him, to honor him, to praise, as well as to help build and redeem the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. This is Hayah Charlotte Kanas, which is a congregation of Israel located in Philadelphia, where we teach the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments, histories, prophecies, testimonies, everything associated with Old Testament, New Testament, as well as the hidden books known as the Apocrypha, where you find not only a history about our ancestry, but good portion of the history of all the nations that are created on the planet Earth. But specifically, the Bible deals with the Most High's chosen people and their beginnings all the way to their endings, and how, other outside nations and events have influenced, played a part in our existence and history up until today. So it is ours, as well as a lot of the different schools and camps that you see scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Our obligation that's given to us by Yahweh Shah, or what the world knows as Jesus Christ, to go into the Bible, to read it, to pull out the information pertinent, break it down, edify, and also live by them, right? So it's just not that we read it, but we also have to follow according to what's written for those of us who want to be chosen, to redeem the elect, when the time comes when the Most High sends Christ that back down to the earth in that day of judgment and day of redemption, right? So in order to do that, like it says in Revelations 1 and 3, we have to continually read what's in the scriptures. We have to, take time out to try to meditate on it, to see how we can apply it, to think before we act, right? Sometimes we react and we don't consider, our actions, or we don't consider what we say, what we do. So the Bible teaches us that. And through our life experiences, we find out the good and bad in ourselves and how we correct and we amend our ways into what the Most High wants, right? So here, every Sabbath, Most High's will, we always try to go into the Bible, read a couple chapters, break it down, and then, of course, receive the understanding and wisdom from it. And then also send up prayers and praise to the Lord. This weekend, this Sabbath, we're in the book of the Old Testament, Deuteronomy, the 7th and 8th chapters. We're going to read first in Hebrew, as our custom here in the school is when we see fit, where we have the Old Testament, New Testament. We'll read it in Hebrew first, and then read it in the English, following with the understanding. So we'll get into it. I'm Kahana Priest Samak. Samak means support in Hebrew. Kahan is priest in Hebrew. So we'll start first in Deuteronomy in the in the Hebrew. So for those who don't have one and would like to get one, I know that you can find some ancient Hebrew online if you do a Google search. I'm not sure if it's still on Amazon. There may be an updated version to this, as well as getting the modern Hebrew. After our captivity, it was rewritten in a different form. The letters was written in a different form, but the meanings and the intent is the same when you read it in ancient Paleo, or you read it in the modern Hebrew. And then, we can work on try to help you out. I know there's different camps that have lessons that's online that you can go and try to study up on. We also send out literature to help in reading or understanding the Hebrew, if it's be your desire. Hebrew is not, mandatory, as the Most High tells us in the book of Isaiah that he was going to speak to his people in another tongue or another language. So we read the Bible depending on where we are, either in English or in Spanish or in French or in Portuguese, depending on, your location. Some people may read it in German. You have Israelites in Europe, so you have different translations of the Bible. King James Version translation of the Bible to those standards. So, but we like to also read in Hebrew because it is the first language on the planet Earth. It is our ancestral native tongue that was geared mostly for us. Our ancestry retained the Hebrew. I know there's other nations who read the Hebrew, but they've deviated from the original phonetic speaking of it. That's why you have something they call Yiddish and other different variations of forms that people use when they read the Hebrew. But we like to read it for study purposes, to get in tune with our native tongue, but also we learn when we read what's written in the Hebrew. Sometimes the words may not have the same effect as far as for context that you read it in English or in Spanish, that you may see in Hebrew. So we like to use it as a reference so that we can go back and get clarity on what the original meaning is, right? So from some of us who grew up speaking English or another language, expressions and meanings of words may mean something different when you go to another place and they speak another language, right? You may know the word hot, but someone coming to America and they see us use the word hot, they may think that you're talking temperature all the time. Well, hot don't always mean temperature. Hot can also mean fashion, right? Hot can mean if you like something or not, right? So depending on context, you need to understand how a person or how it's being used in the storyline that you're reading or how it's being worded. So sometimes we'll go back to the original Hebrew to get the meaning of the word that's fitting in what we're reading. All right. So with that being said, we're going to read Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. Clear my throat a little bit under the weather here, but we'll get through it. So Deuteronomy 7:1 starts off with Kaya. All right. So this is Kaya Yabaya Aka Yahweh Alahayaka All Ha'arataza Asherah Atha Ba'a Shema Lara Shatha Wana Shol Gawa Yum Rabium Mapanyaka Hakathya Waha Gara Gashya Waha Maria Wahakana Anya Wahapa Razia Wahak Waya Wahaya Bawasya Shaba'ai Gawa Yum or Gawarium for nations. Rabium Wa'ai Taza Wumyum Mumka, verse 2. Wanatha Num Yahweh Al Hayaka Lapanyaka Wahaka Yathum Haka Rum Thakarium Athum La'a Thakarath Lahum Barayath Wala'a Thakanum, verse 3. Wala'a Thatha Kathun Bum Bathka La'a Thathun Labanwa Wa Bathwa La'a Thakwak La Bunka, verse 4. Kaya Yasa Yar Ath Bunka Ma'akarya Wa I Badwa Alhayim Akaryim Wakara Ap Yahweh Bakam Waha Shema Yadka Mahar, verse 5. Kaya Ka the Aishwa Laham Maza Bakathyaham Tatha Tazwa Wama Tazab Salak Wama Tazabtham Thasha Barwa Wa Ashara Salak Wa Asha Yarham Thaga Daiwan Wapa Sayol Yaham Thasha Rapwan Ba'ash, verse 6. Kaya Aim Quada Wash Atha La Yahweh Al Hayaka Bakar Yahweh Al Hayaka Laha Yawath Lawa La'aim Saga La Makal Ha'aimyim Ashera Ayel Panya Ha'ada Ma, verse 7. La'a Marabkam Makal Ha'aimyim Kashak Yahweh Bakam Waya Bakar Bakam Kya Atham Hama'ait Makal Ha'aimyim, verse 8. Kya Maha Bath Yahweh Athkam Wama Shabarwa Ath Hashaba Ai Ashera Nashabai La'a Bath Yakam Hawa Tazaya Yahweh Athkam Bayad Kaza Kwa Salak Kaza Ka or Kwa Wayapadka Ma Bayath Ibadium Mayad Para Iha Malak Matazarium, verse 9. Waya Da'aith Kaya Yahweh Alahayaka Hawa'a Ha'alahayim Hala'a What was that? 9. Kun Hawa'a Ha'alahayim Ha'o. I'm gonna do 9 again. Why you 9? Why you da'if Kaya Yahawa Alahayaka Hawa'a Ha'alahayim Ha'o Hana Mun Shabar Salak Shamar Haba Rayath Waha Chasad La'aha Salak La'ahab Yawa Walasha Maria Mataza Wathwa La'alab the war. Verse 10. Wamasha Lum Lasha Nayawa O Panyawa Laha Aba Yadwa La'a Yakar Lasha Nawa O Panyawa Yasha Lum Lawa. Verse 11. Washa Martha Ath Hama Tazawa Wa'ath Hakakim Wa'ath Hama Shapatim Ashra Anakya Matazawaka Hayawum La'aish Watham. Verse 12. Wahayam Iquab Thasha Maiwan Ath Hama Shapatim Ha'oha Washa Martham Wa'aishatham Atham Washamar Yahweh Alahayaka Laka Ath Habaya Salakabara Yath Wa'ath Hakasad Ashara Nasha Bai La'abathika. Wa'aha, verse 13. Wa'ahabka Wabaraka Waharabka Wabarak Parya Batanka Waparya Salak Waparya Ada Mathka the Gunka Wathara Rashka Waya Tazaharka Shagar Lapyaka Wa Aisha Thartha Salak Wa Aisha Thartha Kan Taza Anka Ayil Ha'ada Ma Ashara Nasha Bai La'abathika Lathath Laka. Verse 14. Barawak Thaha Ya Mako Ha'amyim La'a Yaha Ya Baka Ikor Wa Ikor Ra Waba Ba Mathka. Verse 15. Wahasa Ya Yahweh Mumka Kolya Wako Madua. So like Madwaya Matazarium Harayim Ashara Yada Aith La'a Yashaya Mum Baka Wanatha Mun Bako Shanayika. Verse 16. Wa'akalath Ath Lak Ha'anyim Ashara Yahweh Alahayaka Nathan Laka La'a Thaka Was Yanka Al Yaham Wala'a Tha'ibad Ath Alahayam Kriya Mawa Kwash Hawa'a Laka. Verse 17. Kriya Tha'amar Bala Babka Rabim Hagawa Yang Hagawoyim Ha'olha Mamunya Ayaka Aya Select Awako Laha Waryawash Select Laha War Yesham. Verse 18. La'a Thaya Ra Maham Zakar Thas Aisha Yaka La Para Aiha Wala Ko Matazarium. Verse 19. Hama Sath Haga Dalath Ashra Ra'awa Ayanyaka Waha Athath Wahama Pathium Waha Yad Haya Salak Haka Zakwa Waha Zarai, Hanata Wayar, Asherah, wa Tazaka, Yahweh Alahayaka, Kan Ya'aisha, Yahweh Alahayaka, Lakol, Ha'amim, Asherah, Athar, Yarah, Ma Punyaham, verse 20. Wagum Ath Hatazar I Yasha Lak Yahweh Alahayaka Bum Aid Abad Hana Sha'aryam Wahana Satharium Mapunyaka, verse 21. La'a Ta'artaza Mapunyaham Kaya Yahweh Alahayaka Bakwa Rabka Al Gada Wo Wana Wara, verse 22. Wana Show Yahweh Alahayaka Ath Hagawoyim Ha'o Mapunyaka Ma'ait La'a Wathawa Ko Kotham Mahar Pun Tharaba Alyaka Haya Hashada. Verse 22. Wanatha Num Yahweh Alahayaka Lapunyaka Waha Mum Maha Wama Gada La Aid Hasha Madam. Verse 24. Wanathan Mako Yahum Bayadka Waha Badta Ath Shamum Mathakath Hasha Mayim La'a Yathaya Tazab Ayash Ba Punyaka Aid Hasha Madka Atham. Verse 25. Pasa Yolya Alahayam select Alahaya Hum Thasha Rapwan Ba'ash La'a Dakamad Kasap Wazahab Aliyahum Wala Kwa Kath Lakapan Thawa Kwash Bawa Kaya Thawa Bath Yahweh Alahayaka Hawa. Verse 26, last verse. La'a Thaba Ya'a Thawa Ba O but Yathka Waha Yathun Salak Wahaya Yath Karam Kamawa Shakwataza Thasha Kwatazawa Salak Thasha Kwatazanwa Watha Aib Thatha I Bunwa Kaya Karam Hawa'a. All right. That's the Hebrew. Now we do English. All right, so this is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. So Deuteronomy 7:1 says, when the Lord thy God or the Lord thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, right? So these are 7 nations that comes out of Ham, right? So you have Ham, Shem, Japheth, as it pertains to the sons of Noah, and from the sons of Noah came all nations, right? So out of the lineage of Ham, you have now 7 nations that come from Ham that was in that region where the Most High told us to go and possess, right? So in that area, you would have these 7 nations there, and the Most High is now warning us about, when we go, that we're supposed to cast out these nations. So they're the inhabitants of the land now, but the land is not theirs, The Most High owns all the earth. He owns everything in it, the land, the animals, the people, right? The birds, the trees, but he can give it to who he sees so fit, right? So we read a few chapters back, and Israel was to go on their travels or their migration. The Lord told us that the land where Edom was and the land where Ammon and Moab was, that we can't do anything with that. That land was given to them by the Most High. Don't go vex them. Don't go do anything to them as it pertains to that land, because the Lord had already given them theirs. So now what was in the place that we were going to occupy and take for our own, it was these nations that we're reading now, right? That we're supposed to go and cast out with the help of the Most High, right? So I'm going to read it again. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant or an agreement with them, nor show mercy unto them. Right? So when you read it in Exodus, is it? No, it's a lot. So here we have the Most High commanding that when the children of Israel go into the land to go and occupy it or take it for our own possession, that we were supposed to utterly destroy the nations that was there, right? So this isn't something that man did out of his own envy or man decided to do of their own. The Most High God is telling or instructing and commanding his chosen people to go and slaughter and smite and kill the people that's before them, right? So if we do it in there, right, someone would say, okay, this is, an act of aggression for them to just go in and take it like how they do it today. But remember, this is all the Most High. The Most High can do as he sees so fit with his creation. So he's telling one of his created people to go and utterly destroy another people from that region of land where you are, right? In Exodus 15:3, it says that the Lord is a man of war. So if the Most High God is a man that is a warrior, or he likes war, or he likes to see war, you're going to see a lot of conflict. You're going to see a lot of, battles and kingdoms against kingdoms. And this is what you like. If this is what you're into, you're going to surround yourself. You're going to put yourself in that environment where you're going to see that. If you like to fight a lot, you're going to see somebody going to go to the army, right? You like to shoot guns. You want to learn how to shoot better weapons. You're going to go and figure out where I can go to go and shoot weapons and kill people. I'm going to the front line because that's what I like. So the Most High is a man of war, and here it is. He's telling his people that they're supposed to go and smite and utterly destroy them. And so that you don't slither away from his commandment, he said, make no agreement with them. Because they may come and say, hey, if I make this deal with you, I'll give you this over here, or I'll serve you and I'll do this for you to spare my life. The Lord said, don't make no agreement with them. Right? You're just going to have to just go in and follow my lead, and I'll give you everything, and I'll put you on high. Right? So read 2 again. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee. So it wasn't that we were so might that we was going to go and just conquer them ourselves. The Lord said that he was going to deliver them for us. Right? He's the one that goes and fights for us when we go to battle. Right? So we can't think that it's all us that does it. No, the Most High can either make it so that we win, or he can we could be the strongest people on the planet Earth, and the Most High can make it where we don't win. Right? So it's all dependent on how the Lord decides on how certain wages of war, how they're going to be won.
And it also clearly stated that if we go in the land and the people who mightier than thou. So automatically the Most High tell you they're gonna be greater than you and they're gonna be mightier than you in power.
Right.
So he already set the battle that they pretty much above you. But he did that for the purpose of showing you that if it was for you, you would not be able to overthrow them. So I'm gonna give them to you.
Right.
So now if you do contrary to what I tell you to do after I give them to you, then their might will overtake you again.
Right.
So it's just like the Most High will never give you something that you can handle, but in that scenario, those people are gonna be greater than you, and also they're gonna be mightier than you in that instance.
Mm-hmm.
And the scripture that I quoted is 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. So the Most High would not give us more than we can handle. So, but in this particular verse in Deuteronomy, it's not even. So they actually shows, the Most High shows us that they're greater than you. But even though they're greater than you, I'm gonna show you I can take them down and give them over to you.
Right. So it's all about putting your trust in the Most High.
Right.
Lord said He didn't give us a spirit of fear. So He set the stage that way for us to see if we're going to trust Him. Right. Like when they sent the spies out to spy the land, you had some who was fearful and came back and gave a bad report, right, to kind of sway the hearts and minds of the people so that they wouldn't go and take the land. And they figured it out that these men, they wasn't right in doing that. Even for us to go just to teach. If you read it in Ezekiel, I'm gonna go to this real quick to see how it parallels. Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, and the 3rd chapter. I'm gonna read from verse 4. So Ezekiel 3 and 4, it says, and he said unto me, Son of man, go, get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. So you being sent or commanded to go, the Son of Man, to his own people, who understands him, who he can relate to, right? He says, not to many people of a strange speech and of a hard language, which words thou cannot understand. Surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me. For all the house of Israel are impudent and hard-hearted, right? So the Lord is already setting the stage. He says, listen, when you go to these people, it ain't going to be easy. They're going to be hard-headed. They ain't going to listen to you, but you got to go speak to them, right? Same way, when you go to these nations, they ain't going to be like some punks. They're big, mighty people, tall people, right? 7 foot and all this, that, and the third. But so what? I'm going to give them to you, right? So the Lord says, people who ain't going to want to listen to you, they're hard-headed and everything else. It says, behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces. So when they look at you, when they come at you, they coming on some other stuff, right? But I'm going to make you to be able to withstand whatever it is that they're going to bring for you. I can do that, right? Fear them not. So it comes down again to fear. Whether you're going to be afraid of what they saying or how they look when they come up, or you're going to be afraid of me, who now controls all. It says, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. So don't be afraid they come looking all strange and looking all hard and they coming with this and that. And you say, you know what? I ain't going to say nothing to him. I'm not going to run. I'm going to run away with it. I'm going to run away from him because they're rebellious. But it says, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, all my words that I shall speak unto thee, receive in thine heart and hear with thine ears, and go get thee to them of thy captivity and to the children of thy people, and speak unto them and tell them that the Lord God, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, right? So now that's the commandment that goes out, that you can't be afraid that whoever you're dealing with, you deal with. But then go to Jeremiah. That was 3, 4 down to 11. Go to Jeremiah, the 1st chapter. Jeremiah, the 1st chapter and the 17th verse says, thou therefore, this is when now the Lord was dealing with Jeremiah. He says, thou therefore gird up thy loins and arise and speak unto them all that I command thee. So this is the same thing that the Lord told Ezekiel. Same thing he said in Jeremiah now. Whatever I say, get you to the house of your captivity and speak unto them. It says, be not dismayed at their faces. Don't be confounded. Don't be afraid because they come and looking on this rebellious face. And all of a sudden you got the spirit of fear in you and you don't want to deal. You don't want to speak the Most High's words. So the Lord said, if you do that, it says, lest I confound thee before them. So now the Most High can take that situation, because now you're fearing man over the Most High, and make you now look like a spectacle in front of the people, because you change your whole disposition now based on what the Lord said was going to happen, prepared you for it. But then you turn and you said, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do something. I'm going to make an agreement with him. I'm going to come down to his level. And, I respect what you're saying, brother. And it's that, the Lord said, don't do that. Right. If you do that, you choose that over him, then he'll make the situation worse than what it should have been.
And it's the same way when the Most High say, judge not according to appearance.
Right.
Be created in the Most High's image and in his likeness. Then when the situation presented himself, we got to see not the situation that's in front of us, but how we can overcome the situation by using the Most High's method.
Right.
See ourselves as the Most High, as the Most High's chosen, as the Most High's creation.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at and judge based on John 7:24, judge not according to appearance, we will be able to overcome. Right. But if not, we already give ourselves over. Like when we say we saw ourselves as grasshoppers, automatically that's a low judgment of ourselves compared to them. That's not like the Most High. So we wasn't thinking right, because it's like how you see yourself, that's pretty much, nobody can pretty much do anything about it.
Right.
Like, your perception of yourself already give yourself away, to somebody that may be looked as more mighty in it.
Mm-hmm. So now back in
Jeremiah
1:17. So now back in Deuteronomy 7:2, it says, when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite thee and utterly destroy them. Right. So why does the Most High want us to utterly destroy them and make no agreements? Go to Deuteronomy 20. Deuteronomy 20:14. So it says, but the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shalt thou take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. So this is now in any situation, when you read this chapter, when you go into a place and they declare peace, meaning they're surrendering unto you, right? They don't want to go to war. They say, listen, we'll be tributaries and everything else. This is what the Most High says should happen. It says the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, all the gold, the silver, and all the different resources, thou shalt take unto thyself. So now you own, it's a possession unto you. And thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies. When it talks about enemies, it talks about nations. The other nations are enemies to the Most High and to Israel. So even though they made or declare peace, they surrendered, you're still going to eat the spoil of them, right? This is the harsh reality of sometimes when you're dealing with nations and wars and takeovers, right? You go and you reap the land for your own, right? It says, which the Lord thy God have given thee, right? So it wasn't that this was just some random thing. The Most High is instructing Israel along the way on who they should take down and who they should not. What area they should go and occupy for themselves and what area they should not, right? So again, for those who read the Bible, those who have a sense of God is love and God is this and that, when you read what God has instructed to be done, you get a different perspective on the Lord and the Most High, who we worship and who we look up to, on how he thinks, right? Not what man thinks. I don't care what I think or what you're reading how the Most High thinks. He's telling them to do this, right? Verse 15, thus shalt thou do unto all the cities which are very far off, which are not of the cities of these nations. So when you go out and travel to these other different places, that's what you're supposed to do. Now, check this. But of the cities of thee for an inheritance, thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth. So all these other places, when you go, the Lord says when they surrender to you, right, you're supposed to take their cattle, their women, all their resources and everything is supposed to be for you. But with these nations, nothing is supposed to be left alive that breatheth. No cattle, no women, no children, no men, nothing. It says, but thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. Not right. Not was something that, we came up. The Lord is commanding that you're supposed to go utterly kill them. Right. It says, verse 18. Why would the Most High say that? Why would he do this? It says that they teach you not to do after all their abominations, which they have done unto their gods. So should ye sin against the Lord your God. So remember, we're going and taking their land, right? And they have different rituals and customs and idols and everything set up. You go make an agreement with them, now leaving them in your land. Now you're being subject to being influenced by certain cultures and customs and idolatry that the Most High doesn't approve of. It's an abomination. So now that's going to suffer Israel to sin. So that you don't have that, what do? You take out that leaven so it doesn't cause everything else to go bad, right? So the Lord said utterly destroy them so they don't teach you how to sin. A lot of the customs and the idolatries that we see in the world today all stem back from these periods. All stem back from down around this time when Israel was going to the land. It's just transformed into different figures and different, deviations to what other specific nations have, but it's all rooted in the same thing, right? So that's what the Lord said with these 7 nations. No, you got to utterly take them out. Now, if you know the Bible, you know that we didn't utterly take them out, right? They became a thorn unto our side, suffering us to be subject to sin. But the Most High, again, is setting this stage for us to prove it. So we're going to read a little bit later on. Right. So we'll stop there at verse 18. So now going back to Deuteronomy 7. I know for your new viewers or those who's watching online, this is, the realism of reading the Bible. And I guess maybe this is why a lot of times people don't like dealing with the Old Testament. They just say it's the law, but you don't get things explicitly and harshly said like it was in the Old Testament in the New Testament, right? And the Most High has his reasons for doing that as well. But here you see it's very hard. So they said, no, you ain't got to deal with the Old Testament no more. Christ came and did away with all that. You ain't got to deal with that. But yeah, there's scriptures when you read in Revelations, there's scriptures even in the gospel that kind of touch on the same type spirit that the Most High had here, right? Now we're back in verse 3. It says, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, right? So with these nations, the Lord said, don't give yourselves into marriages to them. Because, when you have a marriage, now you're supposed to become one. So now you're supposed to share common beliefs and common goals, right? You're supposed to be thinking on the same wavelength. When I'm out, I expect my wife to hold it down and think the same way as me, and vice versa. She's expecting me to represent her and the family in the name of the Most High in the right framework. So now when you have Hamites who now have a whole different God and a whole different custom and a whole different ritual and a whole different thinking, it may cause you to sin. Now, someone would say, well, that's not all the time. It's not all the time that that's going to happen. Okay, yeah, a snake slid up on you. It may not bite you, right? Or it may bite you, right? You're going to take precautions and say, you know what? I ain't even going to be around the snake. I don't even want to deal with the snake because it might bite me. The chances of it happening are great. Why would I put myself in that situation? So the Lord said, just don't deal with it, utterly kill them. Don't give your sons to their daughters and everything. Now, keep in mind, the first part says utterly destroy them. So we already, if you pay attention, you already see what the Most High has already realized. Because if they're utterly destroyed, you can't give your sons to their daughters or your daughters to their sons, right? So it was already known that Israel was going to be stiff-hearted, hard-headed, weak, right? We was going to do what? Give in, right? Make agreements with them, and now we're going to be caught in the middle. So now the Lord is already thinking on the next one, setting up the next stage. Okay, well, they're going to not follow that, so let me give the next law. Don't make marriages with them. So now when they're in the land and you didn't utterly destroy them, don't give your son to their daughter and their daughter to your son, because they're going to do the same thing that I just said. Is going to deviate. It's going to cause you to go and follow their gods.
Even if on the surface it looks like things are working, but internally, somebody feels some type of way. They may not address it, like in the case of two people that's of different nations come together. Somebody is giving up for the other person, even though in the face of society or in the face of family, it may seems to be working, but there's hidden, there's some hidden contention because they cannot fully deal with each other the way the Most High want them to do. Because one, like you're saying, have one mindset, one culture, one way of doing things, and they might seem to agree with you, but in the back of their head, they know that they suffer.
Mm-hmm. Right. And culturally, I mean, like in today's time, it's such really a gumbo. Like society is like a gumbo where you just got, if you know gumbo from down in New Orleans and how they make, you may have some chicken in it, you may have some beef in it, but guess what's going to be in it? It's going to be some pork in it, it's going to be some shrimp in it, it's going to be some crab in it, it's going to be a whole bunch of, you might have some okra in it that's good, but then you're going to have some other stuff in it that's bad, and it's all mixed together, right? And that's kind of how it is now. Society is culturally aware of saying, you love who you love, you be with who you want to be with, and this is fine. Because of course it's a wicked type society. It's not thinking along the lines of what the Most High, the Bible says, right? So now you have people just loving who they want to love, but then you get two people from two different nationalities, cultures together, right? You got an Edomite or a black person, a black person with a white person, and they together, right? And they married. I've heard the stories before, close to our family, where it's like, of course he can't say the N-word. Right. That person can say the N-word. They may do it. They may allow it in the household, but you ain't going out saying the N-word. You got people right now singing rap lyrics, right? And they on videos. They got to skip the word. If they don't skip the word and they say the word, that's a problem, right? Because it's not good for you to do it. It's only good for me. That pertains to me and mine, right? Or there's certain things that we have a historical, solidarity to that is only represented by us. You don't care about that because that's not you and your history. It's not you and your culture. So the Lord was aware of certain things being polluted or diluted because of these different customs now coming in and mixing like a gumbo pot and messing it all up. To the point now, we weren't supposed to get markings on our flesh. We got markings on our flesh. We tattooed all over the place. We're eating things that we're not supposed to be eating because their customs allows it, right? So it says this in Nehemiah.
And even in interracial marriage is the same thing that you bring out. You might be watching the news and something pop up. Like, let's say, if it's something that the so-called white man, something so-called black man does, you can't really express yourself because the next person you gotta have some reserve.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always some kind of contention going on in between this type of relationship.
Good. So it says here, I'm in Nehemiah, the 13th chapter.
The one you read was Deuteronomy 20.
Deuteronomy 20, verses 14 to 18. And now I'm in Nehemiah 23. So Nehemiah 13 and 23. It says, in those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod and Ammon and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people, and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by God, saying, ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons or for yourselves, right? So now fast forward, when we coming out of the captivity, going back to Jerusalem to reestablish it, Ezra, Nehemiah, and the rest of them, they're looking at the nation and they seeing man, these people not even speaking in our language. How are we going to reestablish ourselves? How are we going to reinvigorate ourselves as a people when we in Jerusalem and we not even speaking our own language? He was caught up just that looking at people communicating. And he started cursing people out, start grabbing them at the head and everything, right? Because of what they had done. So now he's making them swear by the Most High that they, from that moment forward, wasn't going to give their daughters to their sons or vice versa. It says, verse 26, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? So even the great King Solomon, decked and arrayed with all wisdom, glory, had gold and riches beyond any king of his time. He was still subject to sin by marrying different women of different nations, right? It says, yet among many nations, there was no king like him who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause him to sin. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God and marrying strange wives, right? So it became a theme or a recurrence throughout the scriptures where you had Israel who married other women from different nations, and that would in turn cause you to sin, because a man who marries a woman, at some point, you're going to want to please your woman, right? You're going to want to buy things for her, do certain things for her. And then you may get weak and she now has an idol sitting there. She's like, oh, but this is a little thing here. It ain't nothing. Just let me just have this for myself. You got all that over there. Just let me just have this room for myself. And now she got this room for herself. And now she done set up all this stuff. And you're like, what this? But this is just for me. I get it. I love the Most High too. I love the Most High too. But you got this. And then one goes from here, then it's over there, then it's over here. And then she starts doing her own customs and cultures, and you start following suit. All right, cool. We could eat that. All right, well, I'll allow it. Just this one time.
The human flesh get involved, you get weak. Like, oh man, now you start kind of, why did the Most High did this? That's easy. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal.
Right. I'm gonna read this. First Esdras. The 8th chapter. Where did I stop at in Nehemiah? I read from verse 13 and I stopped down at verse 27. So now I'm in First Esdras, the 8th chapter.
You read 13 from verse 13? I mean, chapter 13?
Okay.
Verse 13 to 27?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to start from 82. First Esdras chapter 8, verse 82. I'm going to stop at 85. It says, it says, and now, O Lord, what shall we say having these things? For we have transgressed thy commandments, which thou gavest by the hand of thy servants, the prophets, saying that the land which ye enter into possess as an heritage is a land polluted with the pollutions of the strangers of the land, and they have filled it with their uncleanness. Therefore now shall ye not join your daughters unto their sons, neither shall ye take their daughters unto your sons. Moreover, ye shall never seek to have peace with them, that ye may be strong and eat the good things of the land, and that ye may leave the inheritance of the land unto your children forevermore. Right? So that's what Israel realized during this time coming out of the captivity. We transgressed that. Right? If we had never transgressed that, we would never be where we are right now. We wouldn't be here in this land. We'd still be over in Israel. Right? We would possess it for an eternal inheritance since the time the Most High gave the law to Moses. But we transgressed. The Most High rooted us out, had nations come and take us into captivity. We repented. We came back. Repented, came back. Came back in captivity, came back to the land. Came back. And it just became that way to the Most High said, all right, that's it. I ain't coming back here no more. Right? AD, that was that. Lord said, all right, this is not going to continue this way. So he began to set up the curses, set up the stage for the curses to come and take effect that the Lord knew that we was going to fall victim to. All right, so let's go back to Deuteronomy 7. We're at verse 4. So it says, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly, right? So that was the warning from the Lord, that they would turn our hearts from him. And because that happens, that he would come and destroy us, right? So like, listen, don't mess with them, because this is going to happen to you. And when it happened to you, hear me out, I'm going to have to kill y'all. I'm going to have to destroy you, right? Because you've made an agreement with me that if you keep the law, you'll live. If you don't, you're going to die, right? That's the curse that we enter. That's the oath. That's the agreement that we entered into. Verse 5. But thus shall you deal with them. You should destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire, right? But this is what you need to do when you come in the land to cleanse it. Take down all of their stuff, all their structures, burn it, stamp it down, get rid of it, right? Don't leave anything standing. Don't leave anything lasting as a monument, memorial, whatever. It says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. Holy meaning separate, chosen, choice, right? Clean. The Most High given us the law, separated us from every other nation. No other nation had these laws, these principles, these statutes. So now the Lord says, I don't want what I have to be mixed up with what they doing. Get rid of that so that anyone who comes into your land, they see only holiness. They only see the law. You don't want them to come in and they see the law, but then they see that. And they're like, well, is that a part of this law? And they think that you are now a people just like everybody else, right? So we are holy people unto the Most High, and we have to be represented as being a holy people or a separate people, right? It says, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth, right? So we read this all the time when we out camp, when you're bringing out information to anybody who doesn't know about Israel, or they have this thought that God loves all same way, we're all equal, right? No one is above each other. Everybody's was on one playing field. But here the Lord says he had a chosen people separated from everyone else, and that he had them above everybody else on the planet Earth, right? So that does show some form of what we like to call favoritism, right? You dealing, with this people, this person, a little bit more kindly than you are with everybody else. Well, that shouldn't be. You should put everybody in the same level and field. Well, that's not how the Most High works. No one can force the Most High to choose who he wants or to make him feel a way that he with his creation. I always say, you have your own possessions. We are the Most High possession. Everything that's created is the Most High's possession. He can do what he sees fit. The same thing that we do, right? You got a favorite jacket, you got favorite shoes, favorite sandals, favorite shirt. I can't come into your house and tell you and pick and choose for you what should be your favorite. You got an old pair of running shoes you like to go running, they all worn down, but you got a new pair that's sitting there that you only wear on special occasions. You only bring that out for special occasions, right? I can't go say, no, you should wear your old running shoes to this. No, I want to wear my special shoes. I bought them and I only keep them out. They like on the top of the line. That's how the Lord feels about one of the nations that he created, which is Israel. Top of the line. And then he now gave them certain things to keep. But if they don't follow the rule or keep a standard, then they now being brought down. That's what's happened. Deuteronomy 14:2. Deuteronomy 14:2. It says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the face of the earth. So it says almost the same thing that it says in Deuteronomy 7:6. Instead of using the word special here, it used the word peculiar here, right? So now when you look up the word peculiar, Sometimes you'll see strange, different, but it also have definitions where it says special, right? So in the definition, it says special. So it's just not that we just a different people or unusual people. In the context here, it's we are special people. When you have something special, you treat it differently. You nurture it. You care for it, right? You like to highlight it, right? That's what we do. So that's what the Lord is doing. That's what he did back then. He separated us and made us the grand stage in front of all nations. Gave us a speech, gave us a rhetoric that when we speak, people be like, damn, that's deep. How did you know that? Where'd you get that from? Our God gave us this information. Dang, that's heavy. So now, not only are we separated from everybody else, but everybody will look at the Most High as being a true power because of the wisdom that he's taught us. Right? No other nation has a God to teach them commandments. They make up their own stuff and say that their God gave it to them. Right? So that's Deuteronomy 14:2. You could also write down Deuteronomy Titus chapter 2. Titus chapter 2, verse 13 and 14. So in Titus chapter 2 and 13, it says, looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great power and our Savior, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works, right? So here it is again, that special people here in the New Testament that Paul is writing a letter to Titus, that this is something that still now hasn't been forgotten. The Most High still, and Christ is still coming to redeem a peculiar, special people unto themselves, right? Full of good works. And the good works come from us keeping these commandments, right? Applying them, helping out those who need to be helped, whether it be, through feeding, through spiritual feeding, physical feeding, clothing them, being an example. There's different ways of, doing doing good works through zeal, right? So that was Titus chapter 2, verses 13 to 14. Verse 7 says, the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people. But you were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, had the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Right? So it's almost like the same thing we read in Romans, the 9th chapter, where it talks about why the Most High loved Jacob and hated Edom. Right? It wasn't based on works. It wasn't based on how we try to, in society, man tries to find something tangible or factual to say, okay, it was because of that. That's why that happened. Right? No, it wasn't because Esau sinned that the Most High hated him. It wasn't because it was so many of us that we was the largest nation on the planet Earth. So it just made sense to just like the largest nation on the planet Earth because it's strength in numbers. No, the Lord said at the time when we was a nation, when the Lord came and chose it, we were the fewest, one of the youngest, right? It's not based on numbers. It's not based on time. And no, none of that is a case. It says because he made an agreement, he made an oath with our forefather, and he stuck to it. And then what happened, right? That's the reason, not those things, right? So if anyone wanted to know why the Lord did that, he's telling us, right? So it says in verse 9, know therefore that the Lord thy God is he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, right? So the agreement that was made thousands of years ago is still in effect right now. For those who keep his commandments, as we're trying to right now in these last days, continually day by day, to live out the oath that we entered into, the Most High is going to keep his mercy. He's going to keep his covenant with us until Christ comes back to redeem us, and then we get a new covenant, right? Go to Exodus chapter 20. Read this during the Sabbath, during the prayers. Exodus 20:6. Khan Bakar, if you can read that.
Exodus 20, verse 6. And it reads, "In showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments."
Khan. Now go to Nehemiah 1:5. You read that also.
Nehemiah 1 and verse 5. And he had prepared for him a great chamber, where aforetime.
Were you at Nehemiah?
He said Nehemiah 1. Nehemiah chapter 1 verse 5. And said, I beseech thee, O Lord, God of heaven, the great and terrible God, and keepeth covenant in mercy of them for them that love him and observe his commandments.
Right. So he keepeth the covenant and mercy for them that love him. Now, what's love? Keeping the Most High's commandments, right? So if you keep his commandments, guess what the Lord is going to have for you? He's going to remember his agreement, and he's also going to show favor or mercy unto you when it's necessary. But those who don't keep the agreement or don't keep the commandments, there's no mercy for you, right? The Most High is not going to put you in that list where when you sin or you transgress and you come back and you repent, that he's going to have mercy or show favor. If you out there saying that you want to celebrate or worship something different and you want to go out there and perform these different customs to this thing or follow it, the Most High doesn't have favor for that. Doesn't show favor or mercy for that. So this is now, repeated throughout our existence. It's something that the Lord he's trying to drive that home. Thousands of years after, thousands of generations, it's going to be the same thing with the chosen people of the Most High. And not that it's opened up to everybody, because the agreement that he's now extending out thousand generations was with Abraham and his seed to go down to the nation of Jacob, which became Israel, right? So that is the same thing thousands of years later during the time of Christ. Wouldn't change. That agreement wouldn't just be now, he deviated and broke it and said now it's open up for everybody. That's not the case. Verse 10, back in Deuteronomy chapter 7. It says, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy him. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face, right? So even during back in time of Abraham, when the Most High made the agreement with Abraham, he was like, he's going to be the father of many nations. But anybody who bless you, bless. But anyone who curse you or hate you, the Most High going to deal with, right? So you have it where the Lord is going to have a vendetta out for any nation that comes against him to hate him to his face. Not talking directly face to face, but talking about as far as for what he stands for and his existence. And they hate or curse out, Most High going to deal with them in time. Then you have even some of our own people who side with those traditions and those beliefs. Most High is going to deal with them as well, right? That's why sometimes we don't know the Most High's timetable when certain things happen, certain events happen. The Most High don't announce when he's going to pay vengeance back on a certain person or persons or people or nations, and for what specific purpose when it happens. Certain prophecies that happen in the earth, we know about those things. It's written. So we're waiting for that to happen based on how it's described. But other just random things that happen to certain people and nations, the Most High is now getting vengeance for them and is fulfilling his word on how he would treat them in the time to come in the last days for their sins and their wickedness. Verse 12. So like verse 11, it says, thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb and the fruit of thy land, thy corn and thy wine and thine oil, the increase of thy kine and the flocks of thy sheep in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. So the Lord, is acknowledging that he'll bless us if we just keep the commandment. When we're in this land to take down these Hamites and we're dwelling and we're possessing it, that he's going to make us fruitful and bountiful, right? We're going to have kids. We're going to have enough resources and sustenance to supply us for a long period of time. Our cattle, right? All the animals that we have around there, the Lord is going to multiply them and make them, surplus in the land. So it's all based on us just keeping his commandments, and everything else comes after. Like Christ says, seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and all things shall be added unto you, right? So here, the kingdom of heaven is centered around these commandments. It's not about, how many slaves you're going to get in the kingdom. No, it's about the keeping of the commandments. That's how our life is supposed to be structured, right? That's how we see each other, based on these commandments. Verse 14, thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you or among your cattle, right? So when you compare us to all nations, like when you look at during the time of King Solomon, and all nations came, including the Queen of Sheba, where the storyline was highlighted with Queen of Sheba, keep in mind there's other nations that came. She was just one that was highlighted in the scriptures, right? All nations, there was other kings there, right? He was the most glorious king of all kings. She wasn't a king, she was a queen, right? So now imagine the other kings that now had to come and pay obeisance to him, but she was highlighted. So now here it is, you shall not go barren, meaning we wouldn't lack for anything, right? Imagine that everything that you touch, like how when Joseph was in Egypt, anything his hand touched turned to gold, it flourished. The Lord would have that amongst all of us. As a whole nation, we will be lifted up by the Lord. Verse 15, and the Lord will take away from thee all sickness and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay upon them all them that hate thee, right? So it's the same thing that we just read. He's going to hate anyone that hate him and us, right? And he'll take away all the sickness. So here we are, we was in Egypt for hundreds of years, and we knew about those sicknesses. Same thing right now. We here in America, people get cancer and diabetes and all these different illnesses and ailments. Some of it's self-inflicted. Some of it the Most High is inflicted, right? Some things we don't know. The Lord said we knew about those things when we was in Egypt, right? That's what he says. And I will put away none and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, meaning he won't have them happen in Israel, which thou knowest. We know about all these sicknesses and diseases and pains and everything else. Lord, to take that all away. Imagine being in your whole nation and nobody's sick. Everybody knows somebody that's sick. You sick, right? I got something. I'm sick right now, just with a head cold, but I got issues with me that I got going on that I know a lot of other people has as well, based on what's going on here in society. So the Lord said he will take away all the sicknesses that we knew of coming out of Egypt. And we will be never barren, never lacking, never wanting, all because we kept the commandments, right? That's like better than the lottery, right? If the Most High is giving you everything, right? Not just money, not just resources, but your health, right? You got people who are millionaires, trillionaires, whatever, and they fall victim to cancer, or they fall victim to some kind of disease. They'll choose their health over that money because that's going to not give them a good quality of life. So imagine the Lord gave us that as a nation. Come on now, how can you turn away from that? But because we made these agreements with these other nations, it caused us to deviate from what was our gold standard, right?
And also, based on what we're talking about here, it's based on us not doing the right thing. and doing the right thing for the physical man. It starts with the, Most High put it in your spiritual heart that you keep doing according to the scriptures. So, like we were saying, all the diseases, everything that's happening is caused because we not doing the right thing. We're not doing the right thing based on scripture. So, in I want to read Ephesians chapter 3 and starting verse 14.
Ephesians what?
Chapter 3, verse 4, so starting at verse 14. It says, for Ephesians 3 and verse 14 says, for this cause I bow my knee unto the Father of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach, of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named, that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man. Right? So in the inner man lies the spirit, the spiritual mind of that inner man. So in verse 17, it says that Christ may dwell in your heart by faith. So the Most High, the Yahushua, the Most High will have Yahushua, meaning his doctrine. He is not like Yahushua gonna just jump in and come and reside in your mind. His word, what he teach, his doctrine will reside in our mind. And when we go on the doctrine is doing the Lord's will, doing the Most High's commandment. Right? So he will be reside right here, and then we will start acting it out. In verse and continue in verse 17 says that ye being rooted and grounded in love may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Christ which passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with all the fullness of the Most High. Now unto him that is able to exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. So everything is just like once we start doing the law, the Most High will give more understanding, more wisdom, and we'll give you more beyond what we think we know now, or beyond who we think we can be, right? We can have as much as we can possibly think once we start doing the Most High's will. And if we do a little bit, then Most High give us more understanding, and our eyes keep opening up more, and that's how we become in the image of the Most High.
Right. All right, so let's go back to Deuteronomy 7. We have verse 16. It says, and thou shalt consume all the people which the Lord thy God shall deliver thee. Thine eyes shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. So when it says thou shalt consume, we ain't talking about eating them, right? It's talking about killing them, destroying them, getting rid of them, right? So that they don't become a snare unto us, right? The precept here says Exodus 23, which was the beginning when the Most High is just revisiting what was already stated in the law. But Exodus 23. Exodus 23 and I'm gonna read Actually, let's see if I want to. All right, I'm gonna read Exodus 23 and 23. Right. So remember, this is a rehashing of this information that the Most High had already given. So we're going to read it, what the Lord had already has stated some years back, right? During wandering in Israel. In the wilderness. So this is Exodus 23:23. It says, "For mine angel shall go before thee and bring thee in unto the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off." Right. So the angel was the Most High's angel in a chariot that led Israel from out of Egypt into the wilderness, into this land where these nations would be. It says, "Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them and quite break down their images. And ye shall serve the Lord your power, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water. And I will take sickness away from the midst of thee." So this is the same thing that we're reading right now in Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, right? "There shall nothing cast their young be, nor be barren in the land, and the number of thy days I will fulfill." Meaning we're never going to fall short. We're never going to lack. And the Most High is going to extend our days in the land that we're living in. "I will send my fear before thee, and I will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come, and I will make all thine enemies turn their backs unto thee." So now I'm going to now be the one that's going to send fear of you just on the name and reputation before you even get there. Like Rahab, when she saw the spies come, she said, "We heard about you and your God." Right? And what happened? Fear set in. Right? The men, they didn't even want to go fight, and they didn't even go there yet. Right? So the Lord said he's going to do that. And he says, "And I will make all thine enemies turn their backs unto thee." You saw a little bit of us during Judas Maccabee's time when it was few in number and they outnumbered, and then they still came to fight. And when the people saw them, they was afraid, but they still stood there. And then when Judas and his people, his men marched, they all got afraid and what? Turned their backs and took off. Right? Judas was running behind them, slaying them, smiting them from the back, run from one city to the next, killing them. Right? So that's what it's talking about when it says, "and turn their backs unto thee." It's not talking about they're going to disrespect you. Like you talking to somebody, like, "I'm going to turn my, I don't even hear you. Look at my back." No, your back is them running to get away from you. That's what the Most High would do. Right? 28, "And I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hittites and the Canaanite and the Hivite from before thee." The Lord would send, the hornets out. Like how he sent different plagues out, he would then send them to vex them. Right? That they dealing with this, like, yo, man, we got to get out of it. This is too much. Verse 29, "And I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against thee." So the Most High was strategic, right? He was strategic in how he was going to move out the Hamites. He said, if I do it all in 1 year, guess what's going to happen, right? All the animals is going to over multiply. Right? All the wildebeest beasts, all the oxen, and the land is going to be filled with so much of them. So he said, no, I got to do it over a period of time because those Hamites, they got to eat. They're going to go kill those animals. So it's going to keep a perfect cycle going on until you now come in. Right? That's the forethought of how the Most High was thinking. So he says, again, 30, "By little and little I will drive them out from before thee until thou be increased and inherit the land." Right? So it'll be a gradual process before Israel now completely takes over the land. "And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert of the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out before thee. Thou shalt make no covenants with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee." Right? So it's the same thing that we have been reading to a degree already in Deuteronomy, because it's a rehashing of it.
And as I'm seeing this here, it's just like Mosai is pretty much pure thought. right? Pure thought in a sense. We need the physical because everything happens in the physical. Because if there's no physical, then we cannot. If, for example, I'll take an example. If I'm not here, but just the fact that I'm here, somebody knew that I was required, right? But sometimes Israel see the physical more than the most spiritual aspect of how you see things.
Right.
So everything touch first, and then the physical come after. So when the Most High say He will drive the people out, and He's gonna cause them to fear, but the fear gonna happen right here first. It's gonna happen right here first, and then when we see the person in front of us, then we're gonna wonder why is this guy? He look why I can believe this guy he's afraid.
Right.
But it starts right here.
Go on.
So now Deuteronomy 7, and we at verse 17. It says, if thou shalt say in thine heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispose them? Right. So if you going out and you're thinking, man, it's a lot of them. Hey, big, they got nice weapons. How are we gonna get rid of them? How are we gonna defeat them? Right? I know the Most High said that He was gonna give us into their hands, but it's a lot of them, man. That ain't gonna be easy, man. Right? So the Lord says in verse 18, thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what the Lord thy God did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt. Right? So number one, don't be afraid. And number two, think back to what I've done already. Put your trust in me. Look at all I did to the Egyptians. Plagued them with lice, turned their drinking water into blood, spooked them out by giving them pitch black darkness that they couldn't see anything. He said if it was like darkness was like a touch, right? Killed their firstborn. Like He did all these things. Like what would make you think the Most High, if He's telling you, He's urging you to don't worry about it. I got it. But if anybody feels that in their heart, just think back to what just happened not a couple years ago, right? What I did to the Egyptians who had you in slavery for so long and how I delivered you out, right? It says, the great temptations thine eyes saw, and the signs, and the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the stretched out arm, whereby the Lord thy God brought thee out, so shall the Lord thy God do unto all the people of whom thou art afraid. So if you think that they bigger than you and you're afraid of them, I'm gonna do the same thing to them that I did to the Egyptians. Trust me, I got you. You just got to keep my commandments. You just got to follow what I'm telling you. Follow the instruction, right? And everything will be all right. Read this in Psalms 105. Deuteronomy 7. So we're in Psalms 105. And verse 23. All right, so when you read this chapter really is a psalm of highlighting a portion of it is a highlighting what we came out of Egypt from where we read now, verse 23. So it says, Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of 5, verse 23. Right. So when it talks about, when we say Africa, really it's the land of Ham. That's what the Bible calls it. The land of Ham. Ham occupied that region. Right. Okay. It says, and he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. And he turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants, and sent Moses his servant and Aaron, whom he had chosen, They showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made it dark, and they rebelled not against his word. He turned their waters into blood and slew their fish. Their land brought forth frogs in abundance in the chambers of their kings. He spake, and there came divers sorts of flies and all lice in all their coasts. He gave them hail for rain and flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also and their fig trees and brake the trees of their coasts. He spake, and the locusts came and caterpillars, and that without number, and did eat up all the herbs in their land and devoured the fruit of their ground. He smote also the firstborn in their land, the chief of all their strength. He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. Egypt was glad when they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. Right? So when we read that during the Passover, and it said they borrowed of their enemies, they borrowed from the Egyptians, the Lord is letting you know now, when we left, there was not one person, one family that was feeble. Meaning what? When it says there was not one feeble among them after they got all their silver and their gold. What does that mean?
They didn't walk away poor.
Right. They ain't none of us walked away poor. None of us walked away lacking. Like we didn't have enough. Okay. When the Most High told Moses to go tell the Egyptians that, to say, hey, we need this on our journeys. And we went and took everything. They was, like, hey, get out of here.
He told them to take everything.
Listen, get out of here. All right, we got to get some food. We got to get some of that gold. We got to get some of that silver. We need some of those rubies. We need some. We was just taking.
Load it down.
Load it down. So now here we traveling through the wilderness, rich. Right? We didn't lack anything.
Right. So take everything.
So now when you see what being described, this is what Moses is telling the children of Israel from the Most High. Remember what I did to the Egyptians. I told you I'm going to send hornets amongst them. So when he said he's going to send the hornets, the hornets is going to be like the flies that came, the locusts that came. The locusts came and ate up everything.
Okay.
And it was in abundance, right? So when you have locusts that just come in and eating up all your agriculture, and if you ever seen it on TV, they had it a few years ago when it was, I forget in what, I know Zakar used to always talk about the one that was in Egypt, but they had one also here in another country, another part of the state. And the locusts came in, when they come in swarms, it's like a rolling, it's like, you know how hay rolls down the, like down the little dirt path, this road. It looks like that from like a wide view, how the locusts come and they come and they land and they eat. And another swarm comes and they land and they eat. And they just, it's like a rolling,
they come and roll.
And they just eat, right? And they just eat. So when they finish, the ones that's in the rear, they now take flight and they go into the front to go eat. And within a good portion, like an hour, stuff is eaten up, man. Done, right? So the Lord is like, look, I can destroy a nation or a people in many various different ways, right? I can do that. I could turn, I could pollute their drinking water. I can give them sickness. Right. I can give them hemorrhoids when they took the Ark of the Covenant and they couldn't stand it. And they was like, listen, we got to get this back. There's many different ways to get somebody.
Right.
What does it say? 6 million ways to die. Choose one. Most High got a lot of ways to jack you up. Right. So don't worry about it. I don't care how they look. I could do what I want to do.
And it gets to the point where the Most High says, in Proverbs 9 and 10, the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. Meaning it's the basis of all truth. Okay. Right? With the fear of the Most High is the basis of truth. It means that every aspect that God's mind is covered, whatever aspects that we can think of, the Most High can pretty much control everything. Okay. So if you're gonna fear, don't fear somebody who say he's gonna do something, he can control that. Don't fear somebody who say he's gonna cut your job because the Most High can control that. Right. Don't fear somebody who say he can, pretty much bring nuclear to destroy us. He can control that. So everywhere you think about it, the Most High can control. So if you have that in mind, the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. Right. No matter what situation, the Most High can control it. So if anybody that we need to respect is the Most High. Right. So when we stand in front of somebody, so a nation that considers themselves great, the Most High can subdue them. When we face tribulations, the Most High can control the situation. When we face some kind of sickness, the Most High can control that.
Right.
So now let's continue. Verse 9, verse 20. It says, moreover, the Lord thy God will send a hornet among them until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. Right? So, like we read in Exodus, and then we're reading a little bit in Psalms, the Lord can send a hornet as a plague to them. To they who be left be done. Right? 21. Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for the Lord thy God is among you, a mighty God and terrible. Right? So when we say the prayers, we say the terrible Most High God in the prayers, right? He's telling us, right? He's among us, a mighty God and a terrible one, right? He could be terrible unto the nations, and they realize that, right? They know it, right? Especially back then, when everybody was separated for their land and their God and the things they followed. They knew God, the God of Israel, was for us. Now we don't know who we are or who our God is, right? At least back then we knew that we was Israel, and we knew that the Most High was our God to a certain extent by having the laws received to us, and they was another people and they had their own gods, right? Now we don't know who we are. We don't know the Most High as a nation, right? We know, as far as for the remnant and the elect, know the true power, know the true Christ, but us as a people don't know. As a whole. So now when it says that he's among you, a mighty God and terrible, right? He's amongst the remnant now. Right? Those who he is going to choose, and then the rest are going to have to fall victim to the judgment, right? It says in 22, and the Lord thy God will put those nations before thee by little and little, that thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. So like I said, we just read this already, that he was going to be strategic in allowing the nations to blow out, to be destroyed slowly but surely, so that the ecosystem will function, right? You don't want to throw things out of whack, right? That's what happens when Esau, he goes out there and hunts. He hunts just for sport, certain animals, not out of necessity, but for sport. So when you do it for sport and you go out there and you kill off a species or animal just for sport, it messes up the ecosystem, because you're just doing it just because. You go out there just killing lions to kill lions. You go out there and kill whales just to kill whales. Now you go out there and you kill so many whales, the ecosystem in the ocean is jacked up, because those whales serve the purpose, right? You mess up the ecosystem in the jungle or in the safari, whatever, because those lions serve the purpose. You just out there just killing lions and just killing them, then you messing things up, right? It's not for food. The Most High made certain animals to be surplus so that the predators will have a whole abundance to eat, the animals and man, right? The animals are feed on a goat or something that we can eat. So the Most High had a whole bunch of them. But when you go out there and you kill off for no reason at all those things that was supposed to keep this functioning, now everything is messed up.
Like you say, jacked up.
It's all messed up. That's why certain places, when you go in certain countries or certain areas in the States or overseas in the Caribbean, and when the system is messed up, you see an overabundance of just things that's there. Are you like, dang, all these doggone lizards all over the place, right? Because they done killed off eat the lizard just for sport, for whatever reason, right? Then you go over here and you got all these doggone spiders all over the place. Why? Because whatever was supposed to keep that in check, they done got rid of it through pesticides or something else. So the Lord was smart as far as for now how he was going to gradually bring us in and gradually bring us out to keep the beast filled. Verse 23. But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into thine hands, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. Yet shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them. So their name is not going to be in that area no more. That's the plan, right? It wasn't that Ham was just going to be just totally destroyed, because we knew up until now that wasn't going to happen. But we wasn't going to look at that as the land of Canaan no more. It should be known as the land of Israel, which it is today, right? We only reference in history and teaching of what it was before, when the Most High promised it to Abraham and Jacob. But now, moving forward, it is known as the land of Ham. So that land, that name is not known anymore. They don't have a presence there anymore. From the time we took that land, it's known as the land of Israel, right? Ain't nothing else. It's the land of Israel, right? So that's what the Most High wanted to do, is establish us in his favorite place in the earth and raise us up so that we can be the mightiest people, you know, on under heaven, under his power. Verse 25. The graven images of their God shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is an accursed thing, right? So the Lord says, when you go into these nations and you take from them, don't take of the accursed thing of these nations, right? Go to Joshua. Good example of this. The book of Joshua. Start at chapter 7. Joshua chapter 7.
Joshua chapter 7.
Start at 17. Starting at 17. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'm gonna start at chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse 17. It's a lot. Joshua chapter 6, verse 17. It says, and the city shall be accursed, even it, and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that were sent. And ye, in any wise, keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed when you take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it. Right. So everything in the city that we were going to go take was a curse, meaning it's something that we were not supposed to take for ourselves, right? It was supposed to be left untouched, right? All right, destroyed or left untouched. So now it says, if you do, you're going to make you and the people an accursed thing. So refrain from that. But then check out what the Lord says, but verse 19. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So out of everything that's in that city, that's accursed. Everything in the city is accursed. But these items, when you go into that city, these items take and give to the treasury of the Most High. You don't keep it for yourself, right? So they got gold there. The gold is an accursed thing to you. Give that gold to the treasury of the Most High. Give that silver, huh?
What is it?
This is verse 19.
Where is it at?
Huh?
Where is this happening?
This is when we going into the land of Israel and we conquering the different Hamitic nations that's there, right? So this is the Most High now explaining to Israel, everything is a curse, but this is supposed to go to him, right? It says, they shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So now this is something that we realize was supposed to happen, right?
Mhm.
So now let's jump forward to chapter 7 of Joshua, right? So Israel now is going out. They're going out to the city to go and conquer it. Out between Jericho and Ai. They're going to go and conquer the land, going to go into fight. When they go against the fight, they start losing the battle, right? The Most High start allowing them to take them down. So the Israel like, what the heck is going on? The Most High told us to go fight, right? The Most High had us go here. Why are we losing? Why are we going through this?
Right.
So Joshua 7 and 10, and the Lord said unto Joshua, get thee up, wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face? Israel have sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff, right? So they weren't supposed to do that. So now the Most High is, Joshua's over here praying to the Most High, bound down. He's going through it. Most High said, get up, Joshua. The people sinned. They broke the agreement. I told them that everything was supposed to be a curse. And I said, of this, give to me, right? They didn't follow it. Somebody got it in their tent, right? Yeah. So now when you read the story, Joshua has to go and do inquisition, figure out a way to go narrow this down to finding out who took of the accursed thing, right? So now he go process of time, they figure it out, right? So now jump to verse 18.
Where you started?
I started at chapter 6.
Not 7.
Oh, I started in 7. I started at 10.
So you went 7 and 18.
I went from chapter 7. I started at 10, and I stopped at 11.
You jump now to 18.
Now I'm jumping to 18.
Okay.
So he says, and he brought his household man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, was taken. So now they found out who was this person that did the transgression. And Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord, power of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what thou hast done. Hide it not from me. So acknowledge the Most High and confess your transgression. Let me know what you did, this sin, to cause us to fall. Verse 20. And Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Lord, power of Israel, and thus have I done. You're right. I messed up. I did some things. Let me break it down to you, right? Verse 21. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonian garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them. And behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, look, took the Babylonian garment.
Yeah.
He took 200 shekels of silver and a whole wedge gold of 50 shekels weight, right? So now remember when we read in chapter 11, verse 11, it says that he had taken of the accursed thing, and he has stolen, right? He taken of the accursed thing and he has stolen, because everything in the city was accursed. The garments, all that stuff was accursed. But the Lord said the silver, gold, and brass and all that was mine. He took the silver and the gold and put in his tent. So now he stole from the Most High. Because it's supposed to be his. So that's why now the Lord says that someone taken the curse and has stolen. So he laid it all out and said, yeah, I did this.
So what was he thinking? He was thinking that nobody will see him.
Right.
Yeah. And you think you got away, right?
Yeah, that's what he's thinking.
You think you got away. So you can fool us around, fool, people that's running, even people that's overseeing.
Can't fool the Most High.
But guess what? Ecclesiastes 23:19, the eyes of the Most High is 10,000 times brighter than the sun.
Right.
So you constantly evaluate everything you think, say, or do at every second and nanosecond of the day. Where you can try to get away, so you want to blow something right here. Yeah, they ain't gonna see it. It's a whole nation. We went into battle. you know, I'm gonna just snatch a little something here. He ain't gonna notice that.
He ain't
Right.
gonna do that.
But the Most High saw it.
Right.
And Joshua didn't even know that it was there. They had to go search, take time to go search out, say who got it.
Right.
But the Most High already know it specifically who got it.
Who? How you found out if he confessed himself?
You just when you read later on, Joshua had to go between tribe families to figure out who it is that had this thing done, and then over time he found out and came down to Achan.
How come the Lord just told him?
Mm-mm.
Just what you just read seemed like the Lord told him.
No, he told the Most High told him what happened,
What happened?
but he didn't tell him who did it.
He had to go find out.
Yeah, he had to go find out.
Right. The Most High had to give him a task to do also, so he can learn.
Right.
And so you know that the Most High already knew, and he knew it specifically what happened. But now you got to do the work.
Right.
So you got to work, but the Most High already see it firsthand.
He said, I know. You know, and you told him to go ahead and find out.
So it says in verse 22, so Joshua sent messengers and they ran unto the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent and the silver under it. And they took them out of the midst of the tent and brought them unto Joshua and unto all the children of Israel, laid them out before the Lord. So they found everything and laid it all out. Here you go, right here. Everybody looking like, yo, what the heck is God doing? What are you doing?
He messed up everybody.
Right. 24. And Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan the son of Zerah and the silver and the garment and the wedge of gold and his sons and his daughters and his oxen and his asses and his sheep and his tent and all that he had. And they brought them unto the valley of Achor. And Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones and burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. And they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So the Lord turned from their fierce anger, turned from them from the fierceness of his anger. Wherefore the name of the place was called the Valley of Achor unto this day. So they got stoned and then burned.
Who got that? His family?
Achor.
His whole family.
Yep.
Yeah, he got his whole family.
He did what he did. He got his whole family.
Yep. All the Most High. Yeah. Same thing like when you read in with Haman, when Haman came against Mordecai, Esther, and Israel, they said they went and got Haman and hung him up on the gallows, and they went and got all his sons also.
Yeah.
And all his sons got hung up there.
You don't play the Most High.
You don't play with the Most High. Not at all.
The fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. So if you know the Most High can see everything you do, you should fear the Most High.
Gotta do the right thing.
So that concludes Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter.
That's the 7 chapters.
That was the 7th chapter.
Okay.
We'll take a half-hour break and come back and do the 8th chapter.
Okay.
All right, it's about 10 after 1. We'll come back at around 1:40. All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
Well, not we'll come back. I won't say shalom like shalom, but we'll be back.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Goodbye.